Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. And our first one comes from Alzingom. I hope I said that right. Am I the beehole for telling my mom and her husband that I cook for dad and his family, but not them because I actually like my dad? My parents had a one night stand, and I'm the result of that. The relationship with my mom has always been strained because she resents my dad for not being with her after they made me, something she has voiced on and off for my whole life. Even when I, a 16-year-old male, was like 5, I remember her ranting about how selfish my dad was for that. She engaged in parental alienation a lot over the years, but the courts never did anything, and my dad did try to fight against it in court. When I was 7, my mom got with her husband, Greg, and they have kids together. Greg is a prick, and an even bigger prick than my mom, which I wasn't sure was possible for a while. But, he has talked about my dad being really girly, and how he's worried my dad will turn me gay. He and mom tried to sue for custody over me, stating they could give me a two-parent home, and Greg even tried to argue that he was a better dad than my dad was. They lost this battle, of course, but that was the kind of crap they do. Greg would get pissy when I told him he wasn't my dad, and I wasn't going to call him dad or pops. He said I should be calling him that, and I should want to be his son, since he's such a man, and he's with my mom. My dad was the parent I could vent to, and never heard a bad word said about mom or Greg. He would never shame me for what I said. He wouldn't push his opinion on me. He would just listen. And he would encourage me to write about it if I needed to. He tried to put me in therapy when I was 8, but my mom blocked it, and the courts were like, just leave it be since he's doing fine in school. I don't know how people feel about me, like, interjecting before the end, but I hate this thing where like, oh, they got good grades in school. How did they end up being such a psychopath? Good grades don't mean jack. I got C's, B's, and maybe an A once or twice, and I am not, over here doing crazy stuff. So grades don't mean jack when it comes to stuff like that. Dad bought me a journal to help me write stuff and get it out. It helped. Greg found it in my bag one day and acted like my dad had dressed me in sexualized clothing or something. He was so disgusted about a journal being for girls and not something to give to your son. So I didn't like mom or Greg, and I really don't spend any time with their kids, aka my half siblings. I know the kids aren't to blame, but I try to spend as little as time in that house as I can. My dad taught me a lot of life skills, and cooking is one of them. I also know how to sew up holes in clothes and stuff and do general DIY stuff. I'm actually a pretty good cook. I'm interjecting again. This is good. Learn how to cook. It will save you money and it will keep you healthier than buying stuff off the street all the time. And sometimes I cook for our dad or our extended family, though this usually is with dad's help when others are over because he says I'm a kid and shouldn't have to do it all. A few weeks ago, Greg decided to stalk my dad's Insta and saw a post dad made about the food I cooked for us. Greg told my mom, and they were all kinds of angry, that I never cook at their house, and I have never ever helped them with dinner or fed anyone there. They told me I should be doing that stuff for them too, and I said no. They wanted one good reason why, and I told them I would never cook for people I dislike, and that's them. Mom went on about how that's dad's fault, and Greg was yelling that I was disrespecting him in his own home. I told them to let me go home. Then they were like, no. Am I the beehole? Hi, OP. You are not the beehole. That sounds like you're in a abusive situation. And you know what gets me? Why does Greg want you to cook? I thought he was all against that, girly frou-frou stuff. Isn't cooking for women? You think he'd be pissed that you know how to cook and he wouldn't want you to cook. Greg's a weird one. Usually when people are like that, they're fighting their own things, you know what I mean? If he's over here saying your dad's girly and he's such a manly macho man, I don't know, people like that usually are the opposite. Usually those type of guys are into guys. I'm just saying, not all the time, but I'm just saying. And I absolutely understand where you're coming from, where you don't want to cook for people you don't like. One of the things what I like doing is baking, and I bake these mean chocolate muffins. These are not little baby muffins. These are man muffins with chocolate and salt. It's nice. It's big. It's a big muffin, strong. And I love it when I give those muffins to people and they eat it and they friggin' love it. That makes me happy. That makes me want to improve on the formula. So I absolutely get where OP's coming from. I don't give my muffins out to people I don't like. You know what I mean? So that's most of my family. Yeah. And it sounds like what you really want is to just go live with your dad, which I agree that seems like that'd be the way better choice to do. It sucks that the courts won't let you go to therapy. They won't let you go just live with your dad. And these two people, so they act like they don't want you, but then they won't let you go. I assume that's because they don't want to feel like they lost, or maybe they want to cause suffering. I don't know. Sometimes they're just some evil people. Let me take a look in the comments. Let's see what people have to say. Yeah, a lot of the comments look like it's saying to go live with your dad. And yeah, you're definitely at the age where the courts should listen to you and let you go live with whatever parent you want to live with. But from what I understand, it's not an easy thing to do to just go to court, right? You got to go through a bunch of hullabaloo just to get seen. Um, OP, you can go that route. It might take forever, or you could wait 2 years because you're what 16, right? Yeah, wait 2 years, hit 18, and just go live with your dad. Because it seems like the only way you're gonna get any kind of happiness or joy is just to go live with your dad. I don't know what to tell you, man. You're in a tough spot. But again, OP, you're not the beehole. Our next one comes from Basic Music 3027. Am I the beehole for being too honest about why I'll never consider my dad's wife an equal parent or a second mom? My parents were younger when they had me, both 19. They were together until I was one-ish. Then they broke up. They didn't get married, so there was no divorce or anything. I also have my mom's last name, and that does come up later, which is why I'm saying it here. My dad met his wife, Carol, when I was 5/6. I met her at age 6. She was married to him when I was 7. They also had 4 kids in the starting a few months after the wedding because Carol is older than my dad and felt like her biological clock was ticking, apparently. It was all very fast for me. My relationship with Carol is not very close. She made a lot of efforts to take on the role of a third parent and a second mom, but I always kept her as just my dad's wife or as someone who is part of a wider family, but not exactly as someone that is important to me. I have a few reasons for this. She never lets me call her Carol. She pushed for mom or mama years ago, and we ended up both saying ma'am. Ma'am? Ma'am. Oh, yeah, it's ma'am. Dur. Ma'am. Since the first names are a no no, she's also pushy with her religion, and has called me disrespectful for not giving her religion a chance and not attending unless I'm forced to. I don't believe in religion, and I was mostly raised without it. Dad converted for her, but mom said no to me doing it, and I am so glad. Carol also acts like we had years to get to know each other before she became my dad's wife. In reality, it was about a year. The other stuff she hates is my mom is not afraid to voice that stuff around me. Carol hates that I have mom's last name and not dad's. Carol hates the first name my mom chose for me and has implied she was selfish for giving it to me because it's more unique and uncommon and not a normal name. She has called my mom white trash, trailer trash, a disgrace as a parent, etc. for the name. And she feels like dad shouldn't have named me as his first son. Then she also blames mom for not encouraging me to use my middle name, which dad chose is more of a name like Carol's. She also disagreed with mom not putting me in sports. When I was a lot younger, Carol is big into boys needing sports from a very young age, and my mom never considered that a priority. Carol is so disrespectful about my mom so often. A couple weeks ago, I was at my dad's. Carol and I were alone, and she wanted to know why I never treated her like a parent and what she was doing wrong, that I refused to acknowledge her as any kind of mom to me. I mentioned all of the above and how much I hate when she gets like that. I told her she can't expect to win me over when she talks shite about my mom all the time and disrespects me by disrespecting my name. I told her I would never love someone who acts that way. She was hurt, I could tell, but she was also angry, and so was Dad when she told him what I said. They accused me of treating Carol with so much disrespect and harshness. Am I the beehole? No, OP, you are not the beehole. Carol and your pushover a dad is. He converted for her? Come on, man. Also, really? She expects you to like her? Okay, she expects you to see her as your mother, but I don't even blame you for not even liking her. She's trash talking your parent. Of course, I'm not gonna like someone who's talking crap about my family, who's trying to usurp my mom's throne like that. I love how she asks why and doesn't understand why you don't like her. Come on, lady. You know why he doesn't like you. No, again, no one likes someone talking crap about people they love. Your dad seems like a lost cause and a pushover. Like I said, he converted for her. It seems like she has him wrapped around her finger. I took a look in the comments, and 11 Ski Hill said, "She asked, you told. Carol needs to look inward, and your dad, he is not supporting you. You'll be an adult, and you won't have to deal with her soon. Good luck." OP replied with, "He's not, and my best guess is he would defend Carol and say she's trying to be a good mom and see stuff I don't, and all that kind of stuff. But he really shouldn't be okay with it. Then again, he probably agrees with her." OP, yeah, you seem to be in a bad situation like that. Also, why do people who are religious always think forcing their religion on people is going to make people like or want to join your religion? Nobody likes anything forced on them. I'm sorry. But yeah, OP, yeah, I think you're just gonna have to wait until you can get out of there. It sucks, but can you go with your mom? Can you? I mean, And our final one comes from Totter1196. Am I the beehole refusing to name my son after me? My family have a tradition of going back 6 generations, which is the firstborn son is named William. My father and I go by our middle names to avoid confusion, whilst my grandfather is known as Bill. It's not that I don't like tradition. It's just that my middle name, James, is the name I've always been known as, and I always hated being made fun of when I was younger, especially at school, when a new teacher would inevitably call my name out, my actual first name, and then while taking the register. And all of the other kids would laugh at me trying to explain that I didn't want to be called by that name. Now, I'm an adult. I know that if I wanted to, I could legally change my name by deed poll, but I guess I've just gotten used to the inconvenience, and at this stage of my life, it's more of a conversation starter, if anything else. I also understand that of all the things I've been made fun of when younger, it's pretty low down on the list, and some people would just say I'm being petty. Anyway, I have recently become a father to a beautiful baby boy, and to my family's horror, we've named him Ezra, which both me and my partner love. We've still given him the middle name William. But this is not good enough for my family, who have practically not acknowledged my son's name at all. He's 3 months old now, and whenever they interact with him, they refer to him as Junior or the child. Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with these crazy people, man? All I really want for Ezra is for him to feel like he's his own person when he grows up, not to feel like there's some kind of burden on him to live up to, or any expectations we might have of him, like I suppose I've always somewhat felt. And to feel comfortable knowing that any decision he makes, me and his mom will always support him. This is what makes me stand by our decision. But I cannot help but feel guilty for breaking the tradition, and that there's now a slight rift between me and my family, especially my dad. Am I the beehole for not naming my son William? OP, you are not the beehole, and thank you for not naming your son a junior. I was almost in this situation. I was almost at the point where I was going to be the third, And I still do have my father's name. It's my middle name, not my first name, like you did with your son. So that's cool. That makes sense to me. And yeah, I would have hated being called a junior. One of my family members has a junior, and they have to say, "Big version of you, please come here," and little version of you, which is really annoying and confusing. And I believe, yeah, it's hard to give you an identity. I don't get this junior crap at all. And your family sucks. My family sucks too, but at least they called me by my name and didn't give my dad and mom any guff about, not naming me after my dad or his dad. So I calling him the child or junior. Wow. It's crazy how there's a lot of stories of delusional, crazy family members who'll just do things like this, even though they're not supposed to. So, OP, as someone who can relate, and if I ever do have kids, I am not naming them after me or after my father. I'll probably do the middle name too with my dad, because I like that. I think that's cool. Same thing with women. If they had like a daughter and you gave them the middle name of their grandma, stuff like that. I like that. That's a nice little tribute. That's cool. I like that. But oh, and I can also relate to the name thing growing up too. My name is very common. It has, it's common, short or long, and growing up I liked it short, I liked it long. It just depends on what I was going through when I was a kid. And I would stand up and correct teachers. I never got laughed at or anything, but I would tell teachers, call me by my short name. Call me by the long version of my name. So this story is very relatable to me. And again, OP, you are not the beehole. I would have done the same thing too. I don't want this junior stuff either, and I want my kid to have their own name, existence, entity. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. I want them to feel like their own person. So again, OP, you are not the beehole. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.